Maria was a quiet girl who lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. From the time she was very young, she felt different from the other children. It wasn't because she wanted to be, but because she always noticed how people looked at her. Sometimes they stared for a little too long. Sometimes they whispered things she could almost hear, but not quite. This made Maria feel very shy and nervous around others. She wanted to be like the other kids, but she didn't know how. At school, Maria tried her best to stay invisible. She would sit at the back of the classroom and keep her head down. Her hair was often in front of her face, covering it like a shield. She thought that if people could not see her face, maybe they wouldn't say mean things. But even when she tried to hide, she could still hear the quiet laughter or the sneaky comments from other children. Some of them called her names or made fun of how she looked. These words were like tiny thorns that pricked her heart again and again. Maria's parents loved her very much, but they were busy with work and other problems. Sometimes they did not notice how sad Maria felt inside. She did not want to trouble them with her worries because she thought they had enough to handle. Instead, she kept all her sadness hidden. Like a secret treasure she never showed anyone. She thought if she told someone, they might think she was weak or strange. At home, Maria had a small mirror in her room, but she rarely looked at it. When she did, she felt uncomfortable. She saw a girl with big eyes that were often filled with tears and a face that looked tired from all the hiding and pretending. She did not understand why she felt this way. She wished she could feel proud of her face and smile without fear, but every time she tried, she remembered the voices that told her she was not good enough. Her classmates were different. Some of them were loud and confident. They talked about clothes, games, and plans for the weekend. Maria wanted to join them but did not know how. When she tried to speak, her voice was soft and shaky. Sometimes she felt invisible, like a shadow that no one noticed. This made her feel very lonely, even when she was surrounded by people. One day during recess, a group of children played a game that Maria liked. She watched from a distance, wishing she could be part of it. A boy saw her watching and came over. He said, "Why don't you play with us?" Maria felt nervous but nodded slowly. As she joined, the other children stopped and stared at her. Some smiled, but others whispered. She felt her cheeks burn with shame. The boy smiled at her again and said, "Don't worry, you're good at this." For a moment, Maria felt happy. But when the game ended, the whispers started again, and she ran away before anyone could say more. The days were hard for Maria. At home, she spent many hours reading books and drawing pictures. Art was a place where she felt safe. When she painted, she could forget about the mean words and the stares. She created beautiful worlds where everyone was kind and accepting. But when she closed her eyes and returned to reality, the shame returned too. It was like a dark cloud that followed her everywhere. Even the teachers noticed that Maria was different. Some of them tried to help by giving her small tasks or asking questions in class. But Maria felt too shy to answer. She feared that if she spoke, she might say the wrong thing and be laughed at. So she stayed quiet, hoping that one day she would find the courage to speak up. One evening, Maria's mother found her sitting alone in her room, hugging her knees. She asked softly, "Maria, what's wrong?" Maria looked down and whispered, "I don't feel good enough." Her mother did not say anything at first, but sat beside her and held her hand. That small touch made Maria feel a little less alone. Still, she was not ready to explain everything. Sometimes it is hard to find the right words to tell someone how deep the sadness goes. As months passed, Maria grew more and more used to hiding. She wore clothes that covered her arms and neck. She kept her hair long so she could pull it over her face. She walked slowly, avoiding eye contact. The world outside seemed scary, filled with people who did not understand her. She wished for a place where she could be herself without fear. Despite everything, Maria had dreams. She dreamed of a day when she could stand tall and smile freely. She wanted to make friends who loved her for who she was. But for now, those dreams felt far away, like stars too high to reach. She did not know how to find the way. One morning, Maria looked out of her window and saw children playing happily in the street. She wanted to join them, but was afraid. Her heart was full of hope and fear at the same time. She whispered to herself, "Maybe one day, someone will see me differently." That small thought gave her a tiny spark of strength, even if she did not fully understand it. She did not realize then that life was preparing a moment that could change everything. A moment when someone would look beyond her shame and see the true beauty inside her. But for now, Maria was still hiding, afraid and alone, waiting for a chance to believe in herself. As Maria grew older, her feelings of shame and fear did not disappear. Instead, they became a quiet part of her everyday life. She finished school and started working in a small shop in her town. The work was simple, but for Maria, even this was difficult. She often felt nervous when customers came close. She would smile softly, but rarely spoke much. Her quiet nature made some people think she was shy or unfriendly, but the truth was that she was afraid of being judged. Maria's world was still small and lonely. She did not have many friends, and she often spent her evenings alone in her small apartment. She would cook simple meals and then sit by the window, watching the lights of the town flicker in the dark. Sometimes she wished for someone to talk to, someone who would understand her without judging. But she was afraid that if she opened up, people would think less of her. Her family lived far away, and though they cared about her, they did not understand how much she struggled. Maria did not want to worry them, so she kept her sadness inside. She believed that if she could just be invisible and quiet, the pain might go away. But deep inside, the loneliness grew stronger. Every morning, Maria looked in the mirror, but still could not see the person she wanted to be. She saw the same shy girl hiding behind her hair, afraid to face the world. Some days, she would cover her face with scarves or hats, hoping no one would notice her. She wanted to disappear, to be free from the shame that weighed her down. Work was not always easy. Sometimes, customers would make quick comments about her quietness or appearance. A few would try to be kind, but others were impatient or rude. These moments hurt Maria more than she showed. She wished she could speak up, but felt trapped by her fear. One evening, after a long day, Maria sat alone in her small apartment feeling very tired. She thought about her life and how much she wished things were different. She wanted to be happy and confident, but the past kept pulling her down. She thought about the friends she never made and the chances she never took. Tears filled her eyes, but she did not cry out loud. Instead, she whispered to herself, "Why can't I be like other people? Why do I feel so alone?" Even though life was hard, Maria still held on to a small hope deep inside her heart. She hoped that someday she would find a way to feel good about herself. She dreamed of a day when she would not hide her face, but show it proudly to the world. She imagined walking down the street with her head held high, smiling and laughing freely. But for now, those dreams felt far away. Every day was a struggle between wanting to be seen and being afraid to be noticed. Maria felt stuck in a place where she could not move forward or go back. It was a lonely place, filled with silence and sadness. Despite all this, Maria was a strong person in many ways. She worked hard at her job and never gave up, even when she felt like giving in. She was kind to the people around her and always tried to help when she could. Inside her heart, she was a good person who deserved to be happy. One day, a new neighbor moved into the apartment next to Maria's. His name was Daniel. He was friendly and easy to talk to, but Maria was too shy to say more than a simple hello. Daniel noticed Maria's quietness and wanted to be her friend, but he did not want to scare her away. So he gave her small smiles and waved when he saw her in the hallway. Slowly, Maria started to feel a little more comfortable. She would smile back at Daniel sometimes, and when he brought her a small flower from his garden, her heart felt warm. It was the first time in a long time that someone had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. Daniel did not judge her or ask questions. He just wanted to be a good neighbor. Maria's world started to change, but she still struggled with her feelings. She wanted to be brave, but the fear was strong. Sometimes she thought about talking to Daniel more, but then she worried about what he might think if he saw the real her. She wished she could tell him about the shame she carried, but the words were too heavy to say. One afternoon, Maria decided to try something new. She took a walk in the park near her apartment. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. As she walked, she noticed other people smiling and talking. She felt a small part of her heart open to the world. It was not easy, but she told herself that maybe this was the first step toward something better. In the park, she saw children playing and families having picnics. She saw couples holding hands and friends laughing together. Maria felt a little lonely but also hopeful. She realized that everyone had their own story and their own struggles. Maybe she was not as alone as she thought. As she sat on a bench, Maria took a deep breath and looked around. The world was bigger than her fears. There were people who cared and places where she could belong. It was a small discovery, but it meant everything to her. Maria knew the road ahead would not be easy. She still had to face the shame that lived inside her, but now she had a tiny light inside her heart, a light that told her she was not invisible, she was not alone. She was a person with dreams, feelings, and a future waiting to be written. That day in the park was a turning point for Maria. She began to believe that she could find strength and acceptance, even if it took time. She started to understand that beauty was not just about what others saw on the outside, but about what was inside her heart. And so Maria's quiet journey continued, a journey of hope, courage, and the slow but steady discovery of the beautiful person she truly was. One afternoon, as Maria was walking home from work, the sky suddenly grew dark with heavy clouds. The air felt thick, and soon rain began to fall in big drops. Maria pulled her coat tighter around her and hurried down the street, hoping to reach her small apartment before getting too wet. The rain made the sidewalks slippery, and she had to watch her steps carefully. As she hurried, her foot slipped on the wet ground and she fell down hard. She felt a sharp pain in her knee and a wave of embarrassment wash over her. She looked around quickly, hoping no one had seen her fall. But just then, a man nearby rushed over to help her. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, offering his hand. Maria hesitated for a moment, but then took his hand. His grip was firm but kind. As he helped her stand up, she noticed his warm smile and friendly eyes. For a moment, she forgot about the pain in her knee and the shame she usually felt around strangers. "Thank you," Maria whispered, her voice soft and shaky. "You're welcome," the man said. "I'm Daniel, your neighbor." Maria remembered the man who had recently moved into the apartment next to hers. She felt surprised that he was so kind and caring. As the rain continued to fall, Daniel offered to walk her home. Maria was hesitant at first, but agreed. The two walked slowly, talking quietly about small things like the weather and the town. Maria felt a strange comfort in Daniel's company. It was the first time in a long time that someone had spoken to her without judgment or rush. When they reached her door, Daniel stopped and looked at her carefully. "Maria, I want to say something," he said softly. "You're beautiful, you know." Maria's heart skipped a beat. She looked down, feeling her cheeks grow warm. No one had said those words to her in a long time, not with such kindness and truth. "Thank you," she said quietly, still not sure if she believed him. Daniel smiled and said, "I mean it. Beauty isn't just about looks. It's about who you are inside." Maria nodded, but her mind was filled with many thoughts. She had spent so many years hiding and feeling ashamed. Could someone really see past all that and find her beautiful? It was hard to believe, but Daniel's words planted a tiny seed of hope inside her. In the days that followed, Maria thought about that rainy afternoon often. She began to notice small changes in herself. She started to smile more and even looked at herself in the mirror without immediately turning away. The kindness Daniel showed her was like a light in the darkness, guiding her toward something better. One evening, Daniel invited Maria to join him for a cup of tea. Maria felt nervous, but said yes. They sat together in his small apartment, sipping warm tea and sharing stories. Daniel listened carefully when Maria talked, never interrupting or judging. For the first time, Maria felt truly heard. As the weeks passed, their friendship grew stronger. Daniel's gentle support helped Maria face her fears little by little. He encouraged her to try new things and believe in herself. When Maria doubted her worth, Daniel reminded her of the beauty he saw in her. Sometimes, Maria still felt the old shame creeping back. It was like a shadow that would not leave easily. But Daniel was there to help her push it away, with kind words and quiet encouragement. She learned that healing was not a straight path, but a journey with ups and downs. One day, Daniel suggested they visit a local art gallery together. Maria hesitated but agreed. Walking through the bright rooms filled with paintings and sculptures, Maria felt inspired. The colors and shapes spoke to her in a way words could not. She realized that her own art, once a secret escape, could be shared with others. Encouraged by Daniel, Maria began to draw and paint again. She showed him her work, and he praised her talent with genuine admiration. This gave Maria a new sense of pride and confidence. She started to believe that she could be more than the shy, hidden girl she had always been. Daniel also introduced Maria to some of his friends. At first, Maria felt nervous around new people, but with Daniel by her side, she slowly opened up. She found that many people were kind and accepting. Some shared their own stories of struggle and hope, and Maria felt less alone. One evening, after a small gathering with friends, Maria looked at herself in the mirror. She saw a different person, someone stronger, kinder, and more hopeful. The girl who had once hidden her face in shame was beginning to shine in her own way. Maria knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but she no longer felt trapped by fear. Daniel's friendship had shown her that she was worthy of love and kindness. More than that, she was beginning to see herself as beautiful, not just on the outside, but deep inside her heart. That rainy day when she slipped and fell had changed everything. It was the moment when kindness reached out and broke through the walls of shame. It was the moment when Maria started to believe in herself again. Maria's journey toward healing was not easy. Every day was a new challenge for her. Even though Daniel's kindness helped her feel stronger, she still carried the heavy weight of shame deep inside. It was like a shadow that followed her wherever she went. But now, she had a small light inside her, a hope that kept pushing her forward. She began to understand that healing was not about suddenly forgetting all the pain or becoming perfect. It was about accepting herself, even with her fears and doubts. Maria started to try new things, little steps that made her feel brave. She practiced looking in the mirror and smiling, even when it felt strange. She wore clothes that made her feel comfortable instead of hiding all the time. Each small change was a victory. Daniel was always there, supporting her gently. Sometimes, he would remind her of the kind words he said that rainy day. You're beautiful, inside and out. When Maria felt sad or scared, she repeated those words to herself. They became a kind of magic that helped her feel less alone. One day, Maria decided to visit an art class at the community center. She had loved drawing and painting since she was a child, but had stopped because she thought no one would like her art. With Daniel's encouragement, she took a deep breath and signed up. At first, she felt nervous and shy. She worried that others would judge her, but the teacher and students welcomed her warmly. They helped her feel safe and accepted. In the art class, Maria rediscovered her love for colors and shapes. Painting made her feel free. She could express feelings she could not say with words. Her hands moved carefully, creating beautiful pictures that told stories of hope, sadness, and courage. Every brushstroke was a step away from the shame that had held her for so long. As weeks passed, Maria became more confident. She started sharing her paintings with Daniel and the art teacher. Their kind praise made her heart swell with pride. It was a feeling she had never known before, a feeling that she mattered and that her talents were valuable. Outside of art, Maria also tried to open her heart to others. She reached out to neighbors and began making new friends. It was scary to trust people again, but with Daniel by her side, she felt safe enough to try. She listened to others' stories and shared some of her own. She found that many people had faced hard times too, and this made her feel less different. Sometimes Maria still felt the old shame creeping back. It would whisper cruel words and remind her of past hurts. But now she knew how to fight back. She would take deep breaths, think of the kind words Daniel had said, and remember her own strength. She learned that being kind to herself was just as important as being kind to others. One afternoon, Maria stood in front of the mirror and looked at herself without hiding. She saw a face that had been through pain, but also a face full of courage. She smiled gently, feeling a warmth inside her chest. She was no longer the girl who wanted to disappear. She was someone who was beginning to love herself. Her family noticed the change, too. When Maria visited them, they saw her new confidence and happiness. They asked what had helped her, and she told them about Daniel and the art class. Her parents were proud and promised to be there for her more. Maria also began to help others who felt lost or ashamed. She volunteered at a local support group where people shared their struggles. Her story gave hope to others who thought they were alone. She spoke about the power of kindness, friendship, and believing in yourself. Her voice was soft, but full of truth. Through all of this, Daniel remained a steady friend. He never rushed her or pushed too hard. He celebrated every small step she took. Their friendship was built on trust and respect. For Maria, he was like a light in the darkness, guiding her toward a better life. Maria's life was not perfect, and she knew it never would be. But she had found something more important than perfection. She found acceptance. She accepted her past, her fears, and her beauty. She had learned that true beauty comes from being kind to yourself and others. One evening, as the sun set, Maria sat by her window and looked out at the town lights. She thought about how far she had come. The girl who once hid her face in shame was now ready to face the world with open eyes and a brave heart. She whispered a quiet thank you to the stranger who had called her beautiful that rainy day, even though she did not know him well. That simple moment of kindness had changed her life forever. It had given her the courage to believe in herself and to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it got. Maria smiled softly, feeling peace in her heart. Her journey was still ongoing, but now she walked it with hope and strength. She knew she was beautiful, not because of what others said, but because she had learned to see it in herself. After many months of slow but steady change, Maria's life began to feel fuller and brighter. She had found a new way to live, one where she was not controlled by fear or shame. Instead, she carried with her a deep sense of acceptance and love for herself. This change was not sudden, but came through small moments of courage, kindness, and support from those around her. Maria's friendship with Daniel continued to grow stronger. They shared many days filled with laughter, quiet talks, and simple joys. Daniel never stopped believing in Maria, even on days when she doubted herself. His faith helped her keep going, reminding her that she was never alone. Together, they faced life's challenges, supporting each other through good times and bad. One day, Maria was invited to speak at a community event about her journey. She was nervous but also excited. This was the moment she had dreamed about, the chance to share her story and inspire others. When she stood in front of the audience, she felt her heart beat fast, but she took a deep breath and began to speak. Maria told the crowd about the years she spent hiding her face in shame. She spoke honestly about the pain of feeling invisible and unwanted. But most importantly, she shared how kindness and friendship helped her find the courage to love herself. Her words touched many people. Some cried, others smiled, and many thanked her for sharing. After the event, several people came up to Maria to tell her how her story gave them hope. She realized that by opening her heart, she was helping others heal too. This gave her a new purpose, a reason to keep moving forward and to keep believing in the power of kindness. Maria also continued to paint and create art. Her work became a way to express her feelings and tell stories of hope and strength. She showed her paintings in local galleries and even sold a few. Each piece was a celebration of her journey from shame to self-acceptance. Her art inspired others to see beauty in themselves and their struggles. With her growing confidence, Maria began to dream bigger. She wanted to start a small group for people who struggled with self-doubt and shame, a place where they could share their stories and support each other, just like she had found support. Daniel helped her organize the group, and soon many people joined. The group became a community of kindness and understanding. Maria's life was full of new friendships and experiences. She learned to enjoy simple pleasures like walking in the park, listening to music, and cooking meals for friends. She no longer felt the need to hide. Instead, she showed the world her true self, a woman full of courage, kindness, and beauty. Her family saw the changes in her and were proud of the person she had become. They grew closer, sharing love and support. Maria realized that she was no longer alone. She was surrounded by people who cared deeply about her. One evening, as Maria and Daniel sat together watching the stars, she thought about how far she had come. She remembered the girl who once hid her face in shame and smiled softly. That girl was still a part of her, but now she was stronger and happier. Maria understood that life would still have challenges. There would be days when she felt afraid or uncertain. But now she had the strength to face them. She had learned that kindness, both from others and herself, was the greatest gift. Her journey showed her that beauty was not about perfection or fitting in. It was about being brave enough to love yourself and to accept others. Maria's life was a story of hope, courage, and the power of a simple word: beautiful. She knew that her story was not just her own. It was the story of many people who feel lost or ashamed, and she was determined to keep sharing it, to remind others that they are never alone and that they, too, are beautiful. Maria's heart was full of gratitude for the stranger who had called her beautiful on that rainy day. Those words had changed everything. They had opened a door to a new life, one filled with light, love, and endless possibilities. With a peaceful smile, Maria looked toward the future, ready to embrace whatever came next. She no longer hid her face, but faced the world with an open heart and a brave spirit. And in doing so, she inspired everyone around her to do the same.